So a couple days ago, somebody had asked me to explain what sensory overload felt like for me. And before I get to that, I'm going to explain some of the symptoms of sensory overload. If you don't know what sensory overload is, it's when there is far too much stimulus going on for your brain to handle. For some, it's multiple conversations happening at once, or flashing lights. For me, it's the damn dogs barking. Especially these recent ones, they can just hit that pitch. If you know, you know. And honestly, anybody can experience sensory overload. What triggers it will be different from person to person. Symptoms of sensory overload include, but are not limited to, difficulty focusing due to the competing sensory input, extreme irritability, restlessness, discomfort, the overwhelming urge to shield your ears or eyes, feeling overly excited or wound up, stress, fear, or anxiety about your surroundings, and higher levels than usual of sensitivity to things like textures, fabric, things rubbing against your skin, etc. For a good number of people with ADHD, this sensory information competes for your brain's attention, and in doing so can contribute to the symptoms of sensory overload. So to the question I was asked, what does it feel like for me? Well, when I hear one of the dogs bark, and it's that loud, shrill pitch, the kind that cuts right through every other sound, and it feels like a lightning bolt strikes the base of my skull. From there, it's like I can feel it traveling up to the top of my head and then down my spine, lighting up every nerve that it touches along the way in like this electrical firestorm. From there, I'm immediately filled with rage, though sometimes, depending on the circumstance, it could also be panic, like when I'm driving. I feel like my skin is hyper aware of everything, the air touching it. It's like all my nerve endings are dialed up to 15. My entire body is tingling, but most of all, my head. It's like one of those static electrodes that you put your hand on and the lightning shoots from the middle of it. It's what it feels like. And in extreme cases, like earlier tonight, I also start to feel really nauseous, and all of that happens in a fraction of a second. And that feeling can last for minutes or hours. Earlier tonight, it lasted for about 2 hours. So how do you cope with it? Well, were it any other circumstance, I would just try avoiding it. But considering we're fostering the dogs, not so easily done. But if I knew that there was a busy environment filled with people and a lot of noise that I had to go to, I would do my best to avoid it. But if I couldn't, that's why I got those earplugs. Cut down on that sensory input. So avoid the situation or think of ways to reduce the input. So let's hand it to you. How do you deal with sensory overload? Let me know. I'd love to hear it.